Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre. For today's video, I picked out 3 stories that have to do with children and relationships. So let's get started with the first story. This one is from user Wife Needs Help 123. My wife is an only child and had a rather lonely childhood. So to her, having kids and watching them grow up together is an important issue, if not the single most important issue. To make a long story short, 7 months ago we learned that my wife is incapable of having children. Of course, both of us were devastated and she ended up leaving her job. For the first month after learning this terrible news, all she did was cry and watch Netflix in bed. I brought her meals in bed, started working from home, and gave her my full support because it was the least I could do. But now it's 7 months later and she's still crying and watching Netflix in bed all day. I ask her every day if she needs anything, but all I get in response is variations of either leave me alone or some peace and quiet. Virtually, the only times she gets out of bed are when she fixes herself some snacks, uses the bathroom, or takes a shower. I do all the cooking, cleaning, and laundry. I've suggested many things to help her recover, including but not limited to 1. Therapy. She said that all therapists PUBS back at you. 2. Adoption or using a surrogate. She shut down both, saying it just didn't feel right to her. 3. Moving to her parents' city. She said moving 100 miles was too much stress. 4. Buying a corgi puppy. Corgis are her favorite. She snapped at me saying that a puppy is no substitute for a real human child. 5. Taking her on a week-long trip to anywhere she chooses. Again, she said that's too much stress. Earlier tonight, I had a talk with my wife. I told her that our relationship is just not sustainable if she continues to act this way and that she needs help. She said that she's fine and called me a butthole for suggesting that she get help. Don't get me wrong, I love my wife with all my heart. I'm doing my best to help her, but she is refusing that help and in total denial. I know that she'll be devastated if we get a divorce, but honestly, I cannot bear living like this for much longer. Without making a comment at this point, I'd like to move on straight to the update. The night after I wrote my original post, I got a recommendation and followed through by writing my wife a short letter that went something like this. Dear wife, I love you more than you can imagine, and the most I want in this world is for you to be happy. I understand that as a man, I probably have no idea how intense the pain that you are feeling is. I'm doing my best to help you, but the fact that you won't help yourself is taking a toll on our marriage. I honestly cannot continue living like this for much longer, and our marriage is in jeopardy if you don't make an effort to get better. However, I want to get over this bump together and start working in the right direction together. I'm ready to talk whenever you are. With all my love, OP. I put the letter on top of her laptop and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up a bit earlier than usual and fixed her a double helping of her favorite breakfast. Blueberry pancakes, bacon, scrambled eggs, and fresh squeezed OJ. When I walked into the bedroom with her food, I saw her reading my letter. When she saw me, she put the letter down, got out of bed, threw herself into my arms and started crying. Full on Niagara Falls level crying. I hugged her tighter, told her I love you so much, and started crying too. I honestly don't know how long we stood there hugging each other and crying. It could have been 10 minutes, it could have been an hour, I didn't care. When she stopped crying, she promised me that she would go to therapy. You don't know how thrilled and proud I was when I heard these words. She then asked me if we could go on a trip to Japan because, in her words, really needed to leave this effing house for once and get some fresh air. I was so freaking proud of her when she took the initiative in planning our trip. She's always been a methodical, organized person, and as she booked the flights and hotels, I saw in her eyes the same spark that made me fall in love with her 8 years ago. We just finished packing for the trip, and she fell asleep with the faintest of smiles on her face not too long ago. We have a 5 a.m. Uber to catch, a trip to enjoy, and both therapy and dog shopping sessions lined up when we return. We're not quite out of the tunnel yet, but we can see the light at the end. If you've wanted children your whole life and you're told that you can't have them, that must be life-breaking, world-shattering news. However, it's great to see that OP didn't bail. For better or worse, right? He was there for his wife, and with a really good recommendation of that letter, he was able to turn things around and get them both on the right track. Hopefully it'll work out for the best and they'll figure out the right way to move their family forward. Okay, now we move on to the main story. This one is from user Throw212away. I have been dating the most amazing woman for the past year and a half. I have been in puppy love before, the kind that they're all you can think about and you smile when you think of them, and we have that too. But she has also brought to me the joy of being together but not together. That magnificent way you can just be and be alone in the same room, her reading a book, me doing a project, and really knowing someone. Knowing how her mouth crinkles when she thinks, the way the rain makes her feel, all the stories of her childhood, all the little stuff that makes her a person. At least, I thought I did. I was shopping for a ring and had been dropping hints that made her smile, and we would plan this little suburban life, a deck with a grill, a goofy puppy, a piano. We talked about baby names and vetoed ones. We have the joke names Trevor and Trevina. We'd pick out paint colors and flooring at Lowe's and giggle like idiots. I was 100% confident. I just hadn't chosen a ring. You know, she didn't want a diamond, but didn't know what she did want. And then I got a Facebook message from some guy. He said he was her brother-in-law and that she had blocked him on Facebook, but could I please pass along a wedding invite? And it would mean a lot if she was there. I pressed for more details and it all came out. She was married before to a guy named Brendan and they had a little boy, Sam. She told me before she didn't like that name. The son died in a car accident and afterwards they had an ugly divorce and she cut ties. 5 years of her life I never knew about and I don't know if I ever would have. I think she was never going to tell me. I felt sick about this all day, made up an imaginary sickness to sit and think by myself, and I feel paralyzed by it. This morning I knew her and now I don't. I don't even know how to bring this up or what. I definitely can't go buy the ring and pretend. At the same time, I want to be with her. I am hurt, but know that was horrible, that she went through something unimaginable, but I don't know what that means for us. Am I just a distraction? Is this something she does? Just like before, let's move straight to the update to get the full picture of the story. I spoke to her the day after. She told me she had wanted to tell me for a while, but didn't know where to start. That she thought about Sam every day, but at the same time didn't know how to begin. She pulled out a shoebox from her closet and she showed me the pictures. Pictures of her wedding, this propped up little thing at the courthouse, her in a short white dress with a slight stomach, her husband, this cocky smiled kid with his shaggy blonde hair. Then the baby, Sam. Pictures from a red-faced baby to this little 4-year-old person. Birthdays and Christmases and pictures of the three of them, a family. She talked about Brendan, how they came from these radically different backgrounds and she barely knew him as a person before he was a father and husband. They'd only been dating 3 months when she got pregnant. They were 20. Then she talked about Sam, her baby. She kept saying he was the best thing that ever happened to her. Hearing that broke my heart. She talked about how his hair cowlicked in 3 different spots and how he was always singing or humming, that he loved to climb. She told me his favorite movie and book. She made him a person to me. Then she told me how they lost him. Some kid ran a red light and then he was gone. She barely remembers the funeral because she was so heavily medicated. But the worst part was after. Going home and him not being there. How she'd walk past his room and expect to hear him playing. Waking up and forgetting for a minute he was gone. Their marriage had never been good, and they turned on each other. He blamed her because she had fastened the booster seat on that side of the car. She blamed him, he had been driving. They were divorced within a year after the accident. Brendan had a new child within 2. She had spent the time doing overload on classes and working, keeping busy because it made things easier. She didn't see her old friends because they drifted away. They never knew what to say, and they mostly had kids of their own. She was surviving. But seeing Sam's brother, who looked so much like Sam, hurt so much that she decided she had to get away and stop wallowing. She took the pictures down, donated clothes and toys, deleted her Facebook, and stopped seeing the old friends who weren't really friends anymore. She said she chose to keep breathing because that was what it had come down to. Then she met me, and she said I made her want a fresh start, a better marriage, and more children because she loved me. We talked for hours. She cried and I cried for her. I still love her, maybe more now because I feel like she opened up to me so much. It's hard to imagine her married with a son, toys on the floor, and pictures on the fridge. It's hard because in a lot of ways, it's the life I've been imagining with her. I still plan on marrying this woman. She is the love of my life. Losing a child must be one of the most horrible experiences any human being can go through. At least as a parent trying to put myself in OP's girlfriend's or fiance's position, it breaks my heart. The fact that OP was able to make his girlfriend want to have a fresh start, a better marriage, and more children is incredibly important. So here's to wishing OP and his girlfriend, hopefully fiance, the best life they can have. And now we move on to the final story. This one's from user Throwaway Hafiza Hussein. My brother and his wife, Amy, have an adorable 7-month-old baby, Rose. In February, all 3 of them moved back to my parents' house for several reasons, but they aren't really important. Also, one thing to note about me is that I love children and babies. I often babysit my cousins and other kids, and I just love to be around them. When they moved back home, I would often play with Rose and help Amy out. I don't mind doing this one bit. Amy is a stay-at-home mom, whilst my brother is a doctor. However, Amy has been dealing with anxiety and issues after giving birth. I'm not sure of what exactly is going on since no one tells me anything, but she's going through it. I don't want to say many negative things about Amy, but she isn't a present mother. She often just watches TV or reads and just leaves Rose to do her own thing. She definitely seemed depressed, but there isn't much I can do to help her. Since I've been at home since early March, I've been taking care of Rose. Side note, both my parents are essential workers, so they've been working this whole time. I feed Rose, I change her diapers, I play with her, and I've essentially become her mother. I spend about 6 to 8 hours with her per day. I'm normally in the living room with Rose, and Amy is with us as well. I have spoken to my brother about this, but he just tells me that she's going through a lot and needs some time to recover. Before Rose was born, Amy was like my older sister. We got on really well. Amy was a totally different person. She was outgoing, fun, and just generally a lot more lively. So anyway, today when I was playing with Rose, she says mama. At first, I don't move or say anything. Then she crawls over to me and basically says mama again. I pick her up, but then suddenly Amy just comes and grabs Rose from me. She's screaming in my face about how I'm trying to take Rose away from her. She starts swearing and Rose starts crying as well. I'm just standing still in complete shock. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but she had some sort of mental breakdown and is currently at the hospital. I feel like this is all my fault. My brother is furious with me as well. However, my parents have been saying that this isn't my fault. I love Rose and definitely feel some motherly instincts towards her, but I would never try to replace Amy's role as her mother. I feel so guilty. I love Amy and I hate that I caused this. OP, I think your parents are right. This is not your fault. You definitely did not cause this. Like you said in the beginning, there's something Amy is definitely going through. The fact that Rose called you mama at 7 months old, I think it's because of the fact that you are the one that spends the most time with her. That's it. It has to suck for Amy, yes, but it's something that can totally be worked on and changed. And let's face it, Rose is not even going to remember that she called you mama first. It is probably going to be a sucky memory for Amy, but it's something that she's going to have to get over once she works on herself. In any case, OP has given us an update, so we have a bit of a more understanding on this story. Let's carry on with that. When I first posted this, I had been crying for a few hours and was extremely upset, and I would like to thank every single one of you who commented. All of you were so nice and kind, and as I read through every single comment, I could feel the guilt lessen and I felt so much better. All of you were right. Amy was diagnosed with postpartum depression. She was discharged from the hospital after a few days. Both Amy and my brother apologized and we had a pretty deep conversation. They thanked me for taking care of Rose, and Amy admitted that she was extremely grateful. My brother admitted that he was just stressed and wrongfully took his frustration out on me. More was said, but I don't feel like typing everything out. Amy definitely seemed more like her normal self, and I'm glad that she's finally getting the help she needs. My mom's taken time off work to help look after Rose. I'm also glad that Rose doesn't think I'm her mother. I'm too young for that type of responsibility. Plus, as much as I love Rose, I've had enough of changing her diaper. I'm happy that this whole thing is being sorted out and hopefully everything will be better. Well, OP, hopefully everything will be better. And regarding everything else, you guys already know my opinion. And so, we've reached the end of the video. If you liked it, go ahead and click like. If you still haven't subscribed, like usually, I invite you to become a part of this community. Just click subscribe. And also, don't forget to go to the Lost Genre subreddit where you can cross-post stories you'd like for me to feature in videos or share your own story if that's something that you would like to do. And having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.